everybody knows that this is going on and that I'm going to know about it and I'm going to call it out and make it public because you shouldn't be able to just get away with it.
It was the thing that most people, let's be honest, around our age wanted for such a long time.
It was a cool little Easter egg, and I felt like he was going somewhere. And then the ad-libs just took over, and they were just going back and forth. And the crowd made it that much better.
I feel like we're going to get a WrestleMania 9 kind of ending this year. It's going to be crazy.
All these brand new champions, a steel cage match, superstars from television. It's going to be really awesome. Pun intended.
Making Bret Hart a 3-time Hall of Famer.
You know what? That match.
Well, it seems that the moons have aligned, fellas. Us from our own wrestling corner of the universe have come together. Angry Cooter, Vik Dalishus, Jonathan Benjamin, JB, man. Guys, it's been a while. Glad everybody's here together now today.
This is the first time me and JB are in the same room together doing a podcast.
This is it. Things are
Very
happening.
true.
Ever?
Yeah.
Wow.
Things are happening.
So there's
The first.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, the powers of the universe have all come together here. I feel
We'll
like
see
we should
who
have rings
goes
and
through
put them
this f***ing table first.
Awesome.
Now, it's been a few months since January 4th. Awesome championship wrestling. Vik Dalishus, last time we had you on here, we were getting ready for the show. We were getting hyped. You've been through the show now. Now you're on to the second show, May 17th.
I am not the same man I was.
You're not the same. So
Yeah.
a lot has happened in just this short span of time. Can you tell us, let's get right to the punch. What can fans expect at ACW Aftershock on May 17th in Poughkeepsie at the MJN Center?
Well, for everybody that was there the first time, you're going to get a lot of what you really loved about the show in January, in May. Big time superstars. We have TNA X Division champion Moose is on the show. Indy Hartwell, just fresh off of a WWE run, is going to be on the show. We have Mike Santana. And then our champion, Richard Holiday, takes on the indie god Matt Cardona, formerly known as Zack Ryder. Zack Ryder's dead now, though. It's just Matt Cardona, the indie god. And I could go on and on with naming off all the people that are on the show, and I'm sure as we go through this, we'll name everybody that is on the show. But big time superstars. We have some surprises planned. We have another big announcement that's coming pertaining to what's going to happen that night. And we have 2 matches already announced. We have Matt Cardona against Richard Holiday for the ACW Championship. And then in a steel cage match, Hale and myself, we're going to take on our arch rivals, Sent to Slaughter. And we're going to crown the first ever ACW Tag Team Champions inside a steel cage.
That's awesome. I mean, the first match was brutal enough with the tables match. Now you guys are going to be in a steel cage match in the MJN Center, not just for anything, but for the inaugural Tag Team Championships of Awesome Championship Wrestling. How do you get ready for that? And how do you get ready to get the show underway? Because you're playing both roles here to where you're on the show, but you're also helping, build the show.
Yeah, the idea behind the cage match is that since we got, very wild in the first match at the Civic Center, or the MJN Center, excuse me, it got very wild, and we were all over the place. We were fighting outside the ring. There was tables, there was chairs, there was garbage cans, there was all kind of plunder. And now the idea is to keep us all in one place, stick us inside of a steel cage, and let us fight it out and figure out who really is the top team. And I haven't been in a cage match in over 10 years. So it's been a while since the last time I was in a steel cage. And there hasn't been a steel cage match at Poughkeepsie in over 15 years.
Wow.
So getting ready for it is kind of just making sure mentally you're prepared for what's about to happen that night. It's a weird place to be in, to know that we're helping to run the show and putting the show together and making sure that everything is running smoothly, and then knowing in your head you're about to go into a pretty violent wrestling match. And wrestling matches in and of themselves are violent because it's a very unnatural thing to throw yourself around and be competing with other people who are trying to hurt you. But then you add the other elements into it, and the last match, having the tables and the chairs and the garbage cans and stuff, to know that, hey, here in just a couple minutes, I'm standing here helping to produce this show, and then I have to go out there and prepare myself to be put through a tremendous amount of physicality. It's a weird place to be in, honestly. And having done it once already now, I feel like I have a little bit more of a idea of how to get myself more mentally prepared for it this time. But I don't know if you can ever be fully prepared for all of that. And wearing so many hats is a challenge to pull it all off. And I have great respect for the people that have come before me who have done the exact same thing, where they've put a show together and also performed on it. But it's not an easy thing to do, that's for sure.
Sure.
Now, the tagline for this show is Battle of the Belts.
Yep.
And you've mentioned that there's already Richard Holiday and new tag team champions.
Yep.
One of the things that I've liked about ACW so far is that how interactive with the fans it's been. And you all have talked about, there's been polls out there about what belts are coming next and all that. So we know tag team, obviously. We know world champion. So what else can we expect? I mean, I don't want to spoil anything or anything that, but what else can we get from ACW?
Yeah, we're going to crown the ACW national champion. We put a poll out there and asked fans what they would like to see and what kind of secondary championship they would want to see happen in ACW, and the national championship won the poll. And there's a lot of different names, and there's a lot of championships in pro wrestling. There's from intercontinental to the United States to continental to international to universal to television to social media.
Don't get Credo started, dude.
There's
He
so
loves
many
championships.
I love them.
There's so many. So for us, the national title is something that I think it makes a lot of sense, and it'll be good to have as a secondary championship and something that can be defended on all of our shows as we go forward here. Lord willing that we have more of them. And then we're going to crown a women's champion. And that is a big deal because there's never been a Hudson Valley hometown women's championship.
Yeah, it's true.
So to have one locally in this area and bring quality women's professional wrestling to the forefront for everybody is a big deal. And we've had the opportunity to really watch women's professional wrestling grow from not just the WWE main AEW level, but all throughout the independents. And there was an all women's pay-per-view just a few years ago, and there's a lot of talent that's out there for women professional wrestling. And I'm not a huge mixing the guys and the girls together all the time. Like when it has the right story, yes, for sure. And I don't think that that's a slight against women at all. I think that women can do professional wrestling just as good as the men do professional wrestling. But whether or not I want to see guys versus girls all the time, that's not necessarily my cup of tea. I understand that it is for some, but it's not necessarily for me. So to see just a women's championship where it's women all competing against each other, we've already announced 6 women that are going to be on this show. We have Kelly Madden, who was on our previous show, and Tiara James. They wrestled each other, with Kelly Madden getting the victory. Vicious Vicky Venuto is going to be on the show, and she was at the previous show in January and inserted herself into that match. And then we have some women that haven't necessarily been in front of this audience yet. Tina San Antonio, Rebecca Scott, who has done incredible things on the independent scene so far, and fresh off of her WWE run, we have Indy Hartwell. Wow. And that is a big one for us because I feel we're mixing the best of what's around. We have independent talent. Vicky and Rebecca have done. They've wrestled each other. They've been all throughout the Northeast wrestling. And then you have Kelly Madden and Tiara James, who are 2 students of the Damian Adams Wrestling Academy, and they've wrestled each other. And they've been not necessarily extras, but they've been on AEW, and they've been at Monday Night Raw, and they've been brought in as talent that have a future ahead of them, and then to mix that with a WWE superstar fresh off of her run and trying to make a name for herself on the independent level now and prove that she's not finished, that she's got more to offer and she wants to have another run. I think it's really awesome. And to see what kind of match we're going to come up with and what they're going to do to compete for that women's championship and how the story kind of evolves is going to be really exciting. And we had a big demand for wanting to see more women on the show after the last one. So just one match and just having those 3 girls, now we're going to double it and have something special. So between the national title, the women's championship, the tag team championship, and then having our ACW heavyweight champion, we have a really full, that's right there. That's already like, how is it all going to get decided, and how are we going to fill the show out, and who's going to be the stars that end up walking out with the championships at the end of that night, and where does it go from here? So it's a lot of really cool, intriguing things, I feel.
It's the night of champions, gentlemen. The night of champions. I like it.
That's it. Battle for the belts, man. This is happening. For anybody just tuning in, too, make sure you head on over to thisisacw.com. Get your tickets now. They're going fast. We're just under 2 months till the actual show. But Vic, I got to bring some points up for you. We'll see if you want to talk about this or not.
Yeah.
I want to go back to a story though.
You can talk to me about anything.
I know. I like
to
play the nice guy.
I'm an open book, man.
For sure. So let's
I'm probably best when I'm uncensored too. So.
All right. Well, if we need to, we got the censors on standby just in case. But a few weeks ago, there were stories happening down in Jersey. I forget where exactly. I know it happened with Sean Donovan, a guy you'll see in the ring soon enough. But I believe he posted a video about, I forget what company it was, I'm sorry, off the top of my head, but they were posting their posters outside, local places for their event. When they came back around, they saw that their posters were taken down and somebody else's posters were put up for another show. Yeah. So some of that's been happening, and I can't believe that it's 2025. You still have this kind of thing happening. Recently, you stated on your social media something's been happening. Maybe if you want to address that here, because it's more than just hanging up posters. So people are doing it now on social media, where they're kind of trying to rip down posters, if you will, theoretically or physically speaking.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little about what you posted the other day on social media?
Yeah, it's disheartening, and to an extent that we're still having this kind of stuff happen in 2025. There should be enough for everybody to eat. There's a lot for what goes around in this area for professional wrestling at this point, which is weird because last time I feel like we talked, there wasn't a lot going on. But now there seems to be like a resurgence in the area of a lot of wrestling going on, which is great. And I feel that there's a lot of opportunity for everybody. There's lots of wrestling fans in this area, and there's a lot of opportunity for people to not just have this weird tribalism like exists on the main level where you either like WWE or you like AEW or you like TNA. You can like all of it. You can just like wrestling. And it's supposed to be at the end of the day that the fans win. And it's supposed to be about the fans. And to find out that there's other wrestling companies and promotions that don't necessarily feel that way, that sucks. And to find out through like actual evidence that there's people that are trying to actively hurt our company and stop our promoting and have our posts actually taken out of event groups and things like that, when we've done nothing wrong. We haven't done anything to anybody in any kind of an attack. We haven't made anything personal. We're just trying to create something here that we feel is different and special. And to find out that there's people who don't share that, it sucks. And to say I'm surprised, I'm not surprised, because I've seen it go on quite a few times in my time in wrestling, and especially in this area. And we've had this happen to us before. When we ran House of Hardcore, there were certain individuals that called the athletic commission and tried to have our shows reported. There was someone who called the fire department to come shut our show down right as it was going on. There's people who would go around and just take our posters down. There's people who would say negative things about us or our company or what our intentions were or things like that. And that has never been how Hale and I conduct business. It has never been. I don't feel as though that we are ever brought up by bringing anybody else down. It doesn't work like that. So the best is to bring everybody up, and to know that that's not shared isn't cool. And to actually be shown proof that it happened isn't cool either. And that person who did that knows who they are, and they know what they did, and they know that we know what they did, and they have to look at themselves in the mirror, and they have to look at their families in the face and know what kind of a person they are. And I would expect at this point that it stop. I would expect at this point we're owed an apology. It doesn't have to be necessarily public, but I think we're deserved an apology for it. And just the very fact that we exist shouldn't be something that makes anybody else angry, and it shouldn't be a motivation for somebody else to want to harm what we're doing. You know, it is a direct result of how successful our show was in January. We put together something that was, as far as I can tell, special and different, and it created an energy around independent wrestling again, not only just in this area, but even across the country. There's people that I've heard from in all different parts of the United States who saw our show or heard about our show, or we had guys on the show from all over. So they've gone back to these other promotions and talked about their experience at ACW and what it was all about. And it was our objective last time to take care of the wrestlers just as much as we were trying to take care of the fans. So having full catering in the back and making sure that everybody was taken care of with their accommodations, and that they felt comfortable with how the show was produced and written, and all of the things that were supposed to make somebody feel special. We did all of the little things. And when I say that, I mean, we went above and beyond to do things that we had always felt should have done for us, but never did. And that includes, like, people were paid more than they asked. And we took care of people all the way across the board in every way you could. There's not one person that I feel could have anything negative to say about how they were treated, how the show was run. And that was our goal. We wanted that everybody, when they were done at the end of the night, to go back and tell everybody how great it was. Because how do you get people to work for you? Word of mouth.
Yes.
And you want them to know that they're going to be taken care of when they come here. And when they come to Poughkeepsie, or they come to wrestle for Awesome Championship Wrestling, that they're going to get a first-class experience. I can tell you personally, my experience on the independent level in the Northeast has not been incredibly positive all of the time. There's been times where there's been absolutely zero food. There's been zero water. There's been zero care to taking care of us in any kind of respect. So we wanted to make sure that we had that opposite experience for everybody that was there. And to find out that rubbed people the wrong way, as opposed to motivating them, should tell you everything that you need to know. It should tell you everything about who they are. And I don't want to say that it's competition, because it's not competition. If you conduct your business in such a way like that, where you're not worried about taking care of the athletes and the fans both, then you're not competition, because we're not doing the same thing. We're not having the exact same motivations for running a show. Like Hale and I didn't do Awesome Championship Wrestling to get rich. That was not an end result out of any of this. It was not to make a ton of money in our pocketbooks, and it just wasn't. And I can't say the same about other wrestling companies that are around, because at the end of the day, yes, it's a business and everybody wants to make a little bit of money, but that was not our primary motivation in any way for doing Awesome Championship Wrestling. We wanted to have a high quality show and show everybody what could be done as far as a wrestling show on the independent level. It doesn't have to be Bush League. It doesn't have to be Carney. It doesn't have to be that people get screwed so that the promoter makes out better in the end. That's not what it's about. And it was a successfully pulled off operation for us to make sure that everybody knew that. So anybody out there that wants to go and rip down people's posters or report their posts on social media and stuff like that, like, do better. Be better than that. Doing stuff like that makes you a carny, which means that you're no better than somebody in the 1920s trying to rip people off for their money at circuses and carnivals. That's what a carny is. And the underlying energy behind that is that you're trying to rip people off of their money and trying to work them out of their hard-earned money by presenting yourself as something that you are not. And to go around and try to be sneaky and post on any kind of social media or report people's posts or try to harm another person's business, it tells me everything that I need to know about who you are as a person. And I'm not interested in doing business with people like that. I'm not interested in having my children ever hear about me conducting myself that way or my business that way. And I will hold myself to a high standard of integrity to try and build other people up and other companies up at the same time. Like, we have had plenty of other people that we've worked with recently that they've told us, you guys motivated us. You motivated us to do better, to have a better show, to put more money into our graphics, put more money into our advertising, to do a better show. And that's what it should be about. It's not saying that like we're better than anybody else. We just had a different vision and we had the means at which we could try to make it happen. And it should be that everybody tries to bring their stuff up to another level. So that way we're never all down here. Everything's professional. We're at a time where there's nobody who's like super well off that I know of that's in our area that's just got money to throw around. So when you decide to take your money that you've worked hard for and spend it to come be entertained, that is you parting way with your money in hopes that we're going to run something that is worth you spending your money on. And I'd like to think that everybody feels like they got their money's worth out of the last show and that they're trusting in us that when it comes to this time, they're going to put their hard-earned money down and get the exact same experience when they come. And I wouldn't want to give them anything less than that because I know what it's like to put my money down for something and be disappointed. And I also know what it's like to put my money down and be overly impressed. And it's our goal to make sure that everybody walks away impressed and not be let down and have a full house and have a full venue for people to perform in and for everybody to feel really good about it at the end of the night. And for anything less than that, I don't want to be a part of it.
Sure. And, you know, wrestling, from what I've seen, is kind of like a big brotherhood, right? Like, everybody talks to each other. You guys see other wrestlers on different shows, different companies, and you always see each other down the road kind of a thing. When something like this happens, how is like that word spread? I mean, do you guys everybody looks out for everybody. They're like, hey, you might not want to work for that company, or don't work for these guys, or, you know, this guy is being shady about stuff. I mean, everybody talks, I would feel, in the wrestling business to kind of like let people know about it. And when things like this happen, I think in my head, I'm like, why do people still want to work for people like that? As opposed to, you know, like when ACW was a great experience when we were backstage. Yes. Like, it was a whole different experience than I've ever been a part of. And just like, I want to be a part of that all the time compared to like what other things have been happening. So it's like, for me, I find it hard to believe that I don't want you to say any names, but have people been talking?
Who are we talking about?
Just anybody, any wrestlers, maybe.
We talk about Oswald Cobblepot?
Yes, specifically.
It's probably trending now for that.
See, in pro wrestling,
I'm blaming Hogan's beer, by the way.
There's an old adage of telephone, telegraph, and telewrestler.
Telewrestler, yep.
So nothing is kept secret. Everything gets spread around very quickly in the professional wrestling world, and we all know each other really well. And especially in the age of text messaging, things fly around really fast. Now, why would somebody want to work for anybody who conducts themselves in a less than professional manner? That's up to each individual person to make their determination on what they feel they want to do. And there's opportunities for wrestlers who are independent contractors to perform at a high level in front of a lot of people that you can't necessarily blame them for wanting to take the opportunity to do that. You never know who's going to watch. You never know who's going to see something in you on a show. You never know what the end result of when you compete on a show, what video you'll get out of it, or what social media you'll get out of it, and how it can be used to further your career. So nobody's going to look out for you more than yourself, and you have to put yourself in the best position to be seen and to further your career. It can also work the other way. It can also be that you put yourself in a position where you get screwed, or you look like crap, or somebody doesn't take care of you or puts you in an unsafe position or an unsafe environment, or they use your likeness or image in a less than ideal way. And you have to look out for that kind of stuff also as an independent contractor, professional wrestler. And a lot of times as wrestlers, we give people the benefit of the doubt, and we'll give second chances and third chances to people, or we'll say, well, they've always been good to me. Just because they did that to you doesn't mean they would do that to me. And I think it's on a case-by-case basis, and you have to constantly weigh what you're willing to do and who you're willing to work for and the point at which you are in your career. And for me, at this point in my career, I've been wrestling for 24 years, and I don't want to be involved with anybody who's going to conduct themselves in a less than a professional way. Or it doesn't matter to me to be on a show that is going to supposedly be a big opportunity if the person that I'm sacrificing my body and years of my life for doesn't give a shit that I'm doing it. And I've had it happen to me. I've been a part of an event where I've hurt myself in a really bad way and not been checked up on. And that kind of stuff becomes personal. And until it happens to you, you can't have that perspective really, because otherwise it's just words from somebody. And a lot of times emotions get involved in it. It could be just somebody's bitter or somebody just has ulterior motives. So you don't necessarily know what somebody's motivations for saying things are. But at some point you have to listen to people's experiences, and you have to listen to the things that they actually tell you, like, no, this is that. And enough examples should be given to people where they know, okay, now I know who I'm working for. And at least if you have the awareness going into it, you can protect yourself. And that's why it's important to me to make sure that this kind of stuff is talked about. And you could take different directions with it. And we've gone back and forth as to which direction you want to go with stuff like this. And you could take the high road, right, where you don't acknowledge it at all and act like it didn't happen. And the other side of that is also like, well, if you do mention it, what changes? And to me, what changes is the fact that everybody knows that this is going on and that I'm going to know about it and I'm going to call it out and make it public, because you shouldn't be able to just get away with it. And if you're going to keep doing stuff like that, you're going to get called out on it every time. And I'm not sure how many successful events can be run if you continue to be called out on your shady business practices. How many people would want to shop at a store where you know that, it's like the sweatshop thing, right? Yeah. It's the same to a bigger extent and different, but it's still the same thing. If you find out that a corporation treats their employees like crap, or that they acquire their goods in an unsavory manner, and you don't want to be a part of that. You don't want to support that. So,
especially in this day and age, we have social media, and it just flies around. It's crazy. It's so much easier to find stuff out like that than it was back in the day, I'm sure, right?
Well, way easier now. And everybody has a choice. You have a choice of where you spend your money. You have a choice on what you support, because every dollar that you spend is a support for something, for somebody.
Yep.
And I'm the kind of person who will handle things directly and publicly. And sometimes that's to my detriment, I'm sure. But at this point, I'm not worried about the repercussions of it, because I know I'm right. I know I have the proof of it. I know that what I'm talking about is legitimate. And I watched it happen. And this wrestling company I'm not just like, we're not just doing this as like a side thing. Like, we've put everything into this. It's my money. It's my heart, my passion, my desire, my thoughts, all of it. Hales too. I'm not just like wasting my time. So if you want to come and you want to hurt my business, then I'm going to respond accordingly. I'm not going to act like it didn't happen. I'm not just going to let it go on. And none of us in 2025 should address things, or should not address things out of a fear of a back and forth or an altercation or something like that. Like, I don't conduct myself that way. I'm not afraid to have that argument or have that discussion, because I stand up for the things that I believe in. I don't know why people would still continue to want to work for people like that. And wrestling, at this point, there was the Me Too movement where a lot of the people that were shady got kind of like called out and filtered out of the business. And I'd like to think that wrestling as as a whole has gotten a whole lot more professional in the last few years, and that people have started, conducting themselves to a higher standard. But there's still work to do because there's lots of that stuff going on. And it's not just here in the Northeast. It's in the South. It's in the Midwest. It's on the West Coast. It's in Canada. It still goes on. It even like guys afraid to work for one place or the other because of repercussions, or telling somebody, well, you worked on that show, so you can't be on my show.
Yeah.
Like, what a terrible thing to say to anybody and put people in that position, because nobody's under a contract.
No.
Nobody just works for one place. You're an independent contractor. So you take jobs as they come. So because I worked like 20 minutes away for somebody, I can't work this place over here. Like, it's really silly at this point.
No, for sure. And just from working with Awesome Championship Wrestling, other companies from Fight Factory to Wrestling with Character to ISPW, all these companies all of you guys have been working together in like a synergy to where like, it's like, wow, nobody's fighting. This is great. And then until this other company comes out and they start pulling this kind of petty stuff, it's like, oh, it's only this person all the time and everybody else is pretty good with everybody else. Because we had to bring it up, right? Yeah, we had to get it out there. CM Punk's already going down. Oh my
God, he went to sleep.
Yeah, I'm hitting the desk too much, but no, it's good to get it out there. But no, at the end of the day, May 17th, man, I think that's where all of our energy's going, because I think Jonathan, you were on your deathbed. We couldn't make the first show. Shame on you, Jonathan. You should have been dying at the show. No.
Yes.
But Angry Cooter Man, you were there. I was there. It was a great first time. I mean, when you walked into it, when we saw this Awesome Championship Wrestling, the big Videotron, we gotta think of a name for it, but just walking into it, it was something different.
And I think the Awesometron.
The Awesometron, right? So
It kind of names itself, right?
Look at that.
It was a different experience, I think. So I think we all had fun. Jonathan, you're going to experience it for the first time, but how can we get tickets? How can the fans out there stay tuned on social media to find you guys, to follow it, and to see what's coming up on May 17th?
Yeah, this is ACW.com. Our website we've actually tried to make it as now as we possibly can. We've added a roster section. We've added a news section so you can stay up to date with all of the current superstar announcements and things that are coming down the pike with big things that we have planned for this May 17th show. We've also got our meet and greet stuff on there, so you can click on that so you can meet all the stars of Awesome Championship Wrestling, get it all arranged beforehand so you know that you're going to get a spot. You don't have to deal with waiting in line at the show and whatever weird pay gimmicks there are. It's all set up and all ready for you, so you know what you're going to get when you get there, which I think is really cool, to be honest, because I've seen a lot of meet and greets that aren't necessarily run that way. And as a wrestler, it's always the awkward part of the interaction with people, when how much for an autograph, or how much to take your picture with my cell phone, or how much for, like, it's like a weird awkward thing. And we've kind of eliminated that awkwardness and had it all just streamlined right there, and all very reasonable. Everybody is pretty much up there, and if they're not up there, they'll be there at the show where you can meet them one-on-one anyway and get pictures, take pictures, autographs, all that stuff. And we're on social media. You can find Awesome Championship Wrestling on Facebook. We have a Twitter account. We have YouTube. We have all this stuff, so you can find us anywhere. This is ACW on Instagram, and this is ACW.com is our website. So get your tickets right now. They are moving fast. We've sold quite a bit of tickets so far. I know the first 3 rows around ringside are already sold out. There's still plenty of good seats, because I don't think there's a bad seat in the house, but you're going to want to get your tickets, because last show we did sell out. Tickets were flying as we got closer to the event. So I remember people were saying like, oh, I thought I'd be able to get a seat on the floor, and those were gone pretty fast.
Don't wait.
Yeah,
that's the biggest advice.
If
Don't
you
wait.
really want to have a good spot and you want to be able to get up close and personal with the action that's going to be that night, I mean, a steel cage match, how many times do you get to be like really close to the steel cage? So like, that's a pretty cool opportunity. So
and family friendly too. I mean, my girls had fun. Your kids had fun. Yep. Cooter, you might have had kids somewhere there, but they were probably having fun too. A lot of families out there.
Not that I know of, Credo. Not that I know of.
But there was a lot of kids that were having fun all night too. So I know my girls had a great time. Just don't be thrown away from what people are doing online. I guess go see it for yourself. Don't miss out. It was definitely awesome.
Awesome Championship Wrestling returns to the MJN Convention Center in Poughkeepsie on May 17th with Aftershock, presented by Aspire Brewing and Mid-Hudson Pump. In action, you'll see the ACW World Champion Richard Holliday defend his title against Indie God Matt Cardona. The crowning of the ACW Tag Team Championship will take place inside a steel cage as Poughkeepsie's own The Now take on Sent to Slaughter. You'll experience history as the first ACW Women's Champion will be crowned in an elimination match featuring Kelly Madden, Vicky Venuto, Tiara James, Tina San Antonio, and former WWE superstar Indy Hartwell. On the card, you'll also see Real One, formerly known as Enzo Amore, TNA wrestling stars Moose and Mike Santana, ECW legends Tommy Dreamer, Danny Doring, Little Guido, and Joel Gerdner, wrestling legend Crowbar, straight from Jersey Shore Family Vacation, Zach Clayton, and many others. Tickets can be purchased through Ticketmaster, or you can save on fees by visiting the MJN box office in person or buying over the phone. VIP meet and greet packages and more can be found at thisisacw.com.
Vic, man, while you're here, we're going to talk some wrestling. Is that okay with you?
Let's do it, man.
We're going to get a little bit outside of Awesome Championship Wrestling and just talk what's going on. We've been talking the past few weeks. We're on the road to WrestleMania, right? So this is the fun, exciting time to be a wrestling fan. Over the past few weeks, we've been getting into the John Cena heel promos, what he's been doing the past few weeks, pumping up his Mania match, right? So let's talk about what's been going on. I don't know. Let's go around the room here and talk about like what you've thought about this so far, because at the beginning of the year, we knew we were getting a John Cena farewell tour, and then all of a sudden turns heel, and now we got the John Cena heel farewell tour. Jonathan, what did you think about this so far, man? What are your thoughts on a John Cena heel going into WrestleMania? Are we going to get him healed the whole year? What do you think about this?
I mean, I think it's really interesting how they did it, because it was the thing that most people, let's be honest, around our age wanted for such a long time, that they ran the risk of it being, oh, we love Cena now because he is heel. So they've done a really good job of keeping us not wanting to root for him. You know, he does a few things here or there when he like called out the little kid that all of us probably chuckled at or whatever. But
still
like,
laughing.
but honestly, like I think that he's done really good at being kind of, you know, truthful, like saying that, you know, I've done all these things, and he's not wrong. You know, he made wrestling what it was and what it is, and so he's not lying, and that's sometimes what makes people angry whenever you're actually telling the truth. So I think that unfortunately this heel run will last for a little bit. I don't think he's going to retire with being a heel. I think he'll see the error of his ways before he goes out, and he'll make about 6,000 more Make-A-Wishes, and then he'll call it a day. But as of right now, like this match, you know, it's kind of easy to look at it and say Cody versus Cena. We all know what's going to happen, but honestly, I'm still I'm not sure, and I think that's what's sets this apart from some of the other matches, that you can just pinpoint and say like, oh, that person's going over, or that person's going over. So I'm excited, and you know, I think we were talking about it earlier, that last Raw, you know, are we going to see him again before Mania? Who knows? But I think that they did a great job of keeping interest in this match.
No, for sure. What did you? Because Cooter, you were saying, we talked to past few weeks about it too, to where, you know, was it the right move to keep him away from the American audience and have him show up in the foreign audience? I don't know how to say that rightly, but you know, the European crowds where they're more active, maybe more vocal in the audience. So how did you feel about that too? Because I mean, it's been we've had 3 promos from him over the past 3 weeks. Do you think it's still the safest move to have done that overseas?
I think it was the smart move. I've said it before. I'll say it again. I feel like if they did that in America, it would not have gone over as well, because I think the American fans are a little bit more spoiled. You know, the consumption is different. They don't get live shows like that on a regular basis. So I think they appreciate it more. There's more passion in the crowd, and they're just with every aspect of it. They loved every second of it. They were saying earlier today, the next 2 Raws, Minneapolis, Sacramento. Do you think you get those same type of reactions to any of those promos and those crowds that you were going to get from the European crowd? I think not. Even though I thought what they did from beginning to the end, we were talking about it earlier, Cody came out and did the whole 8 Mile shtick, that last final battle thing. And I thought, where is he going with this? I mean, it was a cool little Easter egg, and I felt like he was going somewhere. And then the ad libs just took over, and they were just going back and forth, and the crowd made it that much better. Even with John Cena's first promo, when he came back, that Belgium crowd was ridiculous, and I don't think it would have went over as well if you were in, like, I don't know, Alabama.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not getting that reaction. You're just not.
No, and now Vic, as somebody who knows how to draw some heat, being as a wrestler, to get to be a heel a little bit. How do you feel? Because he even said he's here to ruin wrestling. And let's break this down a little bit because he even wants to bring the spinner belt back. I think somebody he mentioned about doing that.
Oh, for sake!
Do you think what he's doing right now is a good heel move for John Cena? How he's just addressing the crowd of how they treated him?
I think perspective is everything, and the version of John Cena that we're getting right now has actually been around for quite a bit. And I thought about it today, and I was thinking back to two exact instances where we've gotten a version of John Cena that has basically been the heel. And the one I can think of off the top of my head first is when he had a promo battle with Roman Reigns, and when he told Roman Reigns that. The reason that I'm still here is because you suck at this job.
You can't do your job.
And I'm better at this part-time than you'd ever be at this full-time. And the other one that I was thinking of was the Austin Theory promo that he had back and forth, where he told Austin Theory that whether I beat you, you lose everything. Or if you beat me, you lose everything. And he pretty much just kind of like rubbed it in his face that he wasn't ready, that he couldn't hang long term, that even if he did win, he had to come back out the next night and try to top that, and he couldn't do it. And it's a cocky version of John Cena that we've always really gotten, but it's just been the different perspective. And there's the thing about a heel, a good heel, is that they are, number one, they believe in what they're saying. And number two, there's actually a little bit of truth in what they're saying. And a lot of the things that have come out of John's mouth in the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, have been true about Cody Rhodes. And there's certain things about Cody that are easy to hate also, and not necessarily just like this glowing, shiny, throwing babies in the air babyface. So the cool part about it, if you ask me, is that you don't know how it's going to go. You could see both outcomes happening at WrestleMania. Mm-hmm. And that is what makes it the most intriguing. And they're doing a really good job of having you wonder, how is this going to turn out? And when you're wondering how it's going to turn out, you're going to tune in to watch it.
Yep.
So.
No, that's it. So we were talking about this too, because as soon as he came back as heel, The Rock vanished, right? So I'm thinking, granted, we don't know what his contract is or what he has for TV time, because as we mentioned before, I think that was his last contractual obligated Raw till Mania. Who knows, right? But at the same time, if that's true, if he has to finish off some movie or whatever he has to do for the next 3 weeks, which is a long time till Mania, do we fill those gaps with now The Rock coming in to like confront Cody or do something like that? Jonathan, how do you feel about like The Rock in this whole situation? Because he was a part of it, and now he kind of like vanished to the back to let Cena, do his promos for 3 weeks. And now if he's going away for the next 3 weeks till Mania, can you fill that void with just The Rock every week? Or
I mean, again, like with Vic here, he's doing a lot of things, right? So backstage, you may want to go one direction, but then when the show starts, you may have to pivot. And I think that maybe they didn't know what was going to happen to begin with. So they're like, we have The Rock, he's here, like, let's do this. There's already kind of something built in last year with the Roman thing and all that. But I think that they made the right pivot. I don't think The Rock's necessarily needed. I think that, like, for now, we've got this Rock that can kind of be the jerk manager, whatever. He can kind of just bop in and out however he wants, and he's going to get a reaction. And, we know that The Rock is somebody who gets a lot of reaction, either positive or negative. So they may try to insert him, but I feel like this story with Cena and Rhodes doesn't really need it. Like, I feel like that it's kind of full circle. We haven't even begun to talk about how the reason that Cody has the belt right now is that Cena came out to help him last year at Mania. Like, that's not even been brought up yet. So it's like an onion. I mean, there's so many layers to this, and you could bring The Rock out and it may help, but I don't think it's really going to do any more than what they've already been doing with the two of them. So I'm not anti-Rock. I don't think it's needed right now. So
Sure. What do you guys think? Anything about The Rock and your set?
No, I'm just curious if Cody's going to give Travis Scott a receipt. What do you think about that?
Will we see Travis Scott?
Can I say something about Cody? The internet has ruined Cody Rhodes for me.
Why is that?
Because every time I hear that theme song, all I can think of is the Cody Raheem Rhodes version. Have you heard this?
Yeah.
Oh my God! Every time the song plays, I'm singing the lyrics. I'm like, oh my God, I'm such a dick. Yeah.
Cody Rhodes. They made their own chant overseas too for him. So, no,
You have to wonder what it means to sell your soul to The Rock, though.
Yeah.
And it's an interesting twist in the entire thing is that they built it all around the fact that he sold his soul to The Rock. And it was one of the things that Cody brought up in that promo was that you sold out to The Rock. And they haven't really given you a lot of like, well, what does that mean? What does it mean to like sell out to The Rock? Like, we haven't seen John Cena other than like he says he's in a movie because he got him in a movie or something like that. I don't know. But like, what does it mean to sell out to The Rock? Like, what was John Cena's benefit to doing it?
Yeah.
Like, other than now you get to fight Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania, like what was the benefit to it and what do you get out of it? And who else would want to sell their soul to The Rock to like be there? And I think that may be another layer of the story is that John Cena may not be the only one. And I think that could be something that goes on a lot further down the line here and could play into how John plays this throughout the summer and the fall, because what if he decides he wants his soul back?
Yeah.
You know, like once you sell your soul, you can't really get it back.
Yeah.
So
I just think it's so crazy too. Look at where he was on the card. Was that last year with him in Theory?
2 years ago.
That was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And now look, now you're in the main event of night 2.
Yep.
Like that's crazy. So yeah, we know what you get, but what did you have to give for it? That's the greatest part. He's right. It's that layer of the story that hasn't been told yet that I'm really curious to see.
And used to, you'd have to go to Georgia and jump on like a stump with a fiddle. That's how you had to give your soul to people. But now
That was the crossroads.
well, yeah, there you go. Yeah. So I do have. I mean, sorry, bad joke aside. I do want to bring up that this year there's so much talent, like in professional wrestling in general. Obviously, like before Punk took a.
Oh, he's back.
Okay, he's back.
He's
All
just
right.
chilling outside here.
You know,
my
typically, and correct me if I'm wrong, because you're the one that could do that. A triple threat. Historically, we've been taught as wrestling fans that sometimes those triple threats are done because they don't have confidence in maybe the one-on-one match between two people. That's clearly not the case this year. So, where do you see this going with Punk, with Rollins, with Reigns, who are arguably like the three biggest names in professional wrestling today? What do you think, as the only one that can really speak to this in here, that would have some inside information? Why do you think they went with this match versus just a one-on-one? Is it just because they have so much talent, or do you see something deeper in that match?
That's a great question. There's overlaying stories. So if you think about the story with Roman and Seth and the Shield, and the breakup of the Shield, and how Seth Rollins became WWE champion, where he came out and cashed in and gave him the stomp and the whole deal. And then you look at how angry Seth Rollins was when CM Punk came back, and they've gone into a little bit of that story about Seth Rollins started his wrestling career at CM Punk's wrestling school when he was running the Ring of Honor school and stuff like that. There's an intertwining of the stories that make it all make sense, and that they can get a lot of mileage out of that three-way in particular. The crazy part is like who wins? You know, it's another one of those situations of like, well, who needs the win? Roman hasn't had a big, he had the win over Solo, but he hasn't been in a big thing since last year. Rollins has been on a losing streak, right?
Yeah.
And other than Punk has been, he beat McIntyre, right? So they've talked about how CM Punk wants that WrestleMania main event and stuff like that. But the part of the story that I think is the intriguing part is the favor. And that CM Punk very clearly said at the end of that thing on SmackDown last week was that, thank you for getting me into the WrestleMania event, but that's not the favor.
Yeah.
And that is what ties CM Punk to Roman Reigns. And that's what puts all three of it back into like this group. And if you watch the CM Punk documentary, the Shield was originally brought in, was supposed to be originally brought in for CM Punk. And it was Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose, and Chris Hero.
Mm-hmm.
And they replaced Chris Hero with Roman Reigns. And I'm pretty sure the Shield debuted in a CM Punk match, didn't they?
I
I think they
so.
helped them win, yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's how it went down. So it's a long play on a story that I think that they decided to take advantage of for this year's WrestleMania and make it different. But it's not going to be the only three-way on the show, I don't think. I think you have the women's match where you have Io Sky,
Rhea.
Rhea Ripley, and Bianca
Yep.
For the championship.
for the women's championship. That's probably going to end up being a three-way too, unless something changes in the next 2 weeks. So I don't know if necessarily 2025 pro wrestling just has to be one-on-one. Yes, it is good to settle a score, but if the score involves all three people, then let's do it. You know?
So let me paint a picture for you guys. The year, I forget what the year it was, but it was WrestleMania 9. Picture a little Mark Credo watching WrestleMania at Las Vegas, outdoors. I'm watching it by myself now because my brother is now too old. He's cool doing something else, but I'm still watching WrestleMania by myself.
Oh, this is Caesars?
This is Caesar's Palace. You know, Bret the Hitman Hart is going against Yokozuna, loses. Yokozuna's the champion. And then all of a sudden, Bret walks outside the ring and he points to Hulk Hogan to go in the ring, and Hulk Hogan becomes the champion. I feel like this is the kind of story we're going to get to where, whether it's Cena winning, getting the championship, giving it to The Rock, almost like an Andre the Giant giving it to the $1 Million Man, or maybe Cena not winning, but then The Rock comes out and makes another match and gets the belt, or do we get like a CM Punk something? I feel like we're going to get a WrestleMania 9 kind of ending this year. It's going to be crazy, but I feel like that's just how Triple H has been booking, to where it's keeping us guessing, and that makes it, me as a wrestling fan personally, happy, because the way it's not as predictable. I feel like in years past there have been like, oh, yeah, you know, this guy's got it, whatever. But now there's so many things to think about.
I feel like leading up to Survivor Series, from WrestleMania to Survivor Series, we had a feeling where everything was going, where it was going to be new bloodline versus the bloodline. And ever since then, I really can't call it. Like, you could usually see where storylines are going, who is really going to be facing who, and then you get the Rumble, and you're like, all right, this makes sense. I'm not going to be the guy anymore who called it. I can't do that no more. And that's what I love about it. It makes me want to watch, because why watch something when you already know what the going to happen? So in this, this whole segment just murdered me, because I was so happy that he got that main event.
Yeah.
And that was super important. Like, you could see the legit tears in his eyes. Rollins is great. He's just losing his and the story they're telling is great. And then you just got Roman over there. One man's wish is another man's favorite check. And I'm like, this is perfect. Everything about this. He could care less. He just wants the money. He's trying to stop him, and he gets what he wants.
Yeah.
And they're not even done telling this story yet. I feel like there's more layers to this story than there is Cody and Cena, and I think I'm enjoying this more.
It's going to make WrestleMania one of those things that you can't miss it. Like, does the night one affect? Will something happen in night one once again affect what's going to happen in night two? And I don't know. Do you guys ever think? Do you guys think about like what? Because it's bothering me of like what this favor could be. Because I'm like, oh, he's going to put him in the match with the championship. But I'm like, well, how can Paul Heyman do that? He can't control that. But it's keeping me guessing as a fan, and I like it because it makes it more exciting to watch it.
I heard it was a cash in for the ACW championship. That's what I had heard.
17th. You
I'm
never
just
know.
saying. I was just saying.
That's going to break the bank, bro.
Get your tickets.
There's also nice plug. There's also the one Roman Reigns said that this bloodline story is like a 9-inning baseball game, and when he made that comment, he said we're only in the 3rd inning, and I don't think the bloodline stuff is completely finished yet either, because there's still more people in the family that haven't even shown up on TV yet. There's 3 of them down in Florida that aren't even on NXT that are just training. So there's I think it's an ever evolving thing, and he still wears that Uafala, and he's not going to let people forget that he's the tribal chief. And there's layers to that also. And it's very interesting you say, like, what can Paul Heyman do for the favor? You know, where does his allegiance lie seems to be like the big question. Whether or not he like CM Punk was the first Paul Heyman guy, or do we end up seeing a Brock Lesnar come back?
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
You know, like what is that favor? Is it to have Roman Reigns destroyed? Is it, who knows what it is? So I definitely agree with there's a lot of layers to that story, and it's really very intriguing. And the fact that it's a triple threat is just like an extra chapter in that book. Like, I wouldn't, we've already seen Punk versus Rollins one-on-one, and we've already seen like a lot of these iterations one-on-one. So to put them all 3 of them in the same place at the same time, like, there was nothing better than Roman coming out and grabbing Seth and pulling him out of the cage so that he won.
Oh, that fucking pissed me off so bad.
Oh man!
My God!
Such a good wrinkle in the story.
Yeah,
so
it is.
Good.
No, well, that's what's exciting about it, right? I mean, Triple H has done a fantastic job just booking in general. But let's talk a little bit about the Hall of Fame class. Every year we have a Hall of Fame. Sometimes there's people that don't get in it that you want to get in it. This year's inductees, we have Triple H, Lex Luger, Michelle McCool, The Natural Disasters, and then most recently, we now have Austin versus Bret Hart from WrestleMania 13 happening as like an immortal moment. Guys, what do you think about a match being inducted? Are they running out of people that are alive, or
No.
I feel like are we missing? Couldn't another name have gone in? They have to do matches now, or is that...
UFC's did that with their Hall of Fame. They have specific fights, like oh God, what was it? Was their first Tough Enough finale that was Forrest Griffin,
Stephen Bonner, and Forrest
Griffin. That was one that was inducted into the Hall of Fame. There are just moments that are Hall of Fame worthy, and I think
it's
this
not
is
a new thing. So people are doing it.
I mean,
but
it's
not
better
outside.
than like somebody like fucking Drew Carey or some worthless celebrity that they put in there. Like, this is something that has like good history, and I'm very okay with this. I think this is a pretty good class too this year.
Making Bret Hart a 3-time Hall of Famer.
You know what? Fuck that match.
Why do you think they picked that match?
Out of any of
that's a
them,
great
WrestleMania
question.
13 as like the first one, and Ken Shamrock,
Is it to get
right?
Austin involved?
That was like the first, like that was a double turn, right? I can't think of another time where like one guy went good, one guy went bad at that moment, and that was like the moment I think Stone Cold was made too. It was like had a lot of little.
I can think of one. It was WrestleMania 17. When the Iron Sheik threw Sergeant Slaughter out of the gimmick battle royal, and the crowd went wild.
Well, that might not be on this next year's immortal moment, but maybe it still has. It could happen. But no, I mean, it is weird because it's. You think they might have gone back a little bit more in time as opposed to WrestleMania 13.
Start at the beginning, kind of thing.
Yeah, but will this jump around now? Will next year's be like WrestleMania 5 or 6?
Well, I
whatever.
think you got to stay away from Hogan.
Yeah, yeah.
He's not getting favorable reactions
As I
everywhere he
drink
goes.
real American beer, you're saying.
You say that. I wonder if it was going to be a Hogan match, and then they decided maybe to stay away from it because it is called like the Immortal Moment or something, I believe, right?
Yeah.
So I wonder if they were going to pick a match like a Hogan, and then decided maybe that's not the best time this year. Let's do this one. But
There's the first match at WrestleMania with the WrestleMania main event with Orndorff and Orton Orndorff and Roddy Piper, Mr. T, like all that plays into it. Then you got WrestleMania 3, you got Hogan
Steamboat
and Andre,
and
Steamboat and
Savage.
Savage. You got WrestleMania 4 with the tournament, WrestleMania 5, the Mega Powers explode, WrestleMania 6, Hogan and Warrior, the first time that there was champion versus champion, title for title. There's Savage's retirement match against the Ultimate Warrior.
Yep.
a lot of moments.
There's a lot of things that you could go back to the first 8 to 10 WrestleManias and create and bring moments out, but I think their selling point is the fact that Austin and Brett could still be there.
Does it have to be? Does it have to be WrestleMania matches? Because if it's me, here's my nomination: SummerSlam '91, Bret Hart, Mr. Perfect.
That's a great one.
Yeah. No, I want to hear the more behind this because they haven't really said. Maybe I haven't been reading, but no, I mean it's definitely different. I didn't realize, the other predetermined UFC was doing it, but it's cool to see, I guess, right? So a match is going to be immortalized. No Warrior Award, I guess, this year, huh? No
Janelle Grant this year?
No Warrior Awards handing out.
Yeah, she won the Warrior Award a couple of years ago. Yeah, it was
soon.
pretty damn good.
But no, so it's something different this year, right? Still no Demolition. I think people were kind of thinking that they might get it because they actually featured him for the first time on their WWE.com this year. So no Demolition. But let's talk about some of these inductees, though. I mentioned before. Triple H, first of all, cool. I think it's well deserved. Triple H is going in.
Absolutely.
Yes, he's running it behind the scenes, but he did a lot more before he was behind the scenes.
Do we get one more Triple H match?
I don't think so. I think he can't. I don't think he can with his head or something
They
happened.
teased
Right?
that Kevin Owens confrontation, and I thought that was happening.
Maybe.
I was with you on that one.
Yeah.
I thought that was a possibility.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, you have some cool Triple H merch too, Jonathan. What do you think about this going in?
What do you mean you have cool Triple H merch?
Oh, well, like a while ago, like he's probably the person that I have the most things like signed by, to be honest. Because
Wow.
whenever Linda was running for
Yep.
Connecticut Senate, I believe, he was showing up like all over the place. And I don't know if you all remember they were the Subway banners for USA Raw, and it was like Cena on one and Tori Wilson, and then like Carlito and Triple H. But they're a legit like 8 to 10 foot.
Yeah.
I have like at least 3 foot tall Triple H autograph from one of those.
Wow.
And it was to the point where I brought I never want to be like over zealous, so I would bring stuff and then I'd go and maybe have like one thing and he would sign it and whatever. But on that day he was just whatever. Like I could have brought a tire over to him and he would have signed it. So it was fantastic, and I've met him now like 6 times, and he was, I mean, as much as you ever get out of a meet and greet, he was very nice and accommodating and all that stuff. So I've got absolutely nothing but love for Triple H. Long overdue, I think. And I think that the moments thing is cool too, because it may give somebody a chance to get into the Hall of Fame that wouldn't necessarily go into the Hall of Fame, on their own. And so the natural disasters is a good idea behind that, because I don't know if they're in everybody's Hall of Fame, but if they had a great match with somebody, then maybe they could be featured.
What was your favorite natural disasters match?
I mean,
I can answer that. Bushwhackers.
I'm not going to say favorite full natural disasters match, but I'm going to say Earthquake and the squashing Damien. I mean, that's a moment. That's a Hall of Fame moment right there.
Fun
sure.
fact.
I got to throw this out there.
Yeah.
JB has some of the weirdest memorabilia.
Absolutely.
I remember him. He's got this giant long banner of the Bellas that you got
Absolutely,
signed.
yes.
And I'm just sitting there, I'm like, who the has this in their house? JB.
Still there. Still
Oh
there.
my God.
That's amazing.
A fun John Tenta or Earthquake story. I remember seeing a house show WWE at the Civic Center, the MJN Center now. And they did a thing where they pulled him out of the crowd. He was sitting ringside, and then they pulled him out of the ring, and he did something in the ring. And then I saw them do it again, like later on TV. So I think they used the Civic Center up here, the MJN Center, as like the test. And then when they did it on TV, they did it again on TV. So he was like sitting front row and came out. And I was like, I remember seeing this guy debut. And like as a kid, like I thought I saw something crazy. And then I saw it on TV, and I didn't know if what I saw on TV was what happened when that. And then when I looked it up, I realized they just refilmed it or whatever, or filmed it at a regular taping compared to my house show. But no, I thought it was like one of the debuts of John Cena and Earthquake was in Poughkeepsie, but it really wasn't. But
he was the first wrestler I ever touched, reached out and touched.
Earthquake
at the Mid-Hudson Civic Center, but he wasn't picked out of the crowd. He walked out.
No, yeah, he was.
We had aisle seats, and he was in the first match, and I like went up to the thing and I reached out and I touched him. And he got so close to me, and I could smell him, and he stunk. And I remember going back to my dad, and it smelled like, just big sweaty wrestler.
Yeah.
I just remember telling my dad, oh my God, he smells so bad.
Neither of them are in the Hall of Fame, right? So this is the first time for both of them, I believe. Earthquake's not in it by himself, and neither
Tugboat was close.
Yeah. So it's the first time for together, I guess.
I'm just mad they didn't induct all of the natural disasters, which is Texas tornado, hurricane. They should have done the whole stable if they were going to do it.
You're just full of dad jokes, aren't you?
I'm not even a dad.
God,
This
that was
is
a good one.
This is yeah. No, I think it's again, I grew up in that era of and we were talking a little bit about WrestleMania 13, and it was very gimmick heavy at that point.
Yeah.
And I remember, even though it was gimmick heavy, like you talk about, that was the first person you touched, like he was one of the first people that frightened me as a kid. Like,
he was scary then too.
I mean, he was just a force. And Typhoon, like as his natural disasters character, I didn't really care much for. I probably was more like excited when he became Tugboat, because I was like, oh, he's good.
He was Hogan's friend.
Yeah, exactly. But that character, it's something to say. I believe a Hall of Fame career is based on basically exactly what we're doing right now. We're talking about these people years after, and I watched The Dark Side. I don't know if you watched it on Earthquake, but it's I'm glad he's getting some due over time, because I feel like he was a really good person, and obviously we weren't supposed to know that as kids, but I'm all for it. I do
Golga fan.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And
Gotta love that
Shockmaster.
Shockmaster is going in the Hall of Fame.
I was supposed to meet Razor Ramon at a Video Treats in Poughkeepsie many years ago before a Raw.
Video Treats. You're dating yourself.
I waited
dude.
for 2 hours. Scott Hall didn't show up. But there was a replacement they sent that we heard that was coming by.
Uh-oh.
None other than the Tugboat came out and replaced Scott Hall. So I have a Tugboat autograph. My parents gave up. We ended up going home. Long story short, Razor Ramon ended up showing up later on, like an hour later. But I was like, as a kid, no offense to Tugboat. Like, I wanted the Razor Ramon autograph. I didn't want the Tugboat autograph. So no offense to him. But you got to put myself in like a 10-year-old.
Was he as Tugboat?
Yeah, he was Tugboat. He was Tugboat. He was there. There
Had
was
the
a
hat
Raw that
on and
night.
everything?
Well, he was just he was doing the toot and all that stuff too. So, so that was I have a Tugboat autograph lingering around somewhere, but it should have been a Razor Ramon one. How about Lex Luger, guys? Lex Luger, he had the big run in SummerSlam with Yokozuna, the whole. The
Lex Express.
The Lex Express going on. They're trying to make him the next Hulk Hogan. And at that time, this is when Hogan was already over at WCW, right? So they needed like another. They were trying to build up other guys as like an All-American or something like that, right?
Yeah.
That's all I can remember when he came in. Thoughts on Lex Luger? Because there's other stories out there about him too, and other things that he's done through his career. But Hall of Fame worthy? What do you think?
Absolutely Hall of Fame worthy. He was in WCW or NWA before that, when he was brought in by Bobby Heenan as the narcissist. It was pretty epic.
I love the mirrors when he was doing that.
Yeah.
When he came in.
That was another Las Vegas WrestleMania moment when they had the mirrors with the fireworks that came off of them. And it was awesome. And then the All-American Hero. I was into the forearm thing. Yeah. The fact that he had a loaded forearm from a motorcycle accident, and that was like allowed to be used in a match. Like, I was into all that. And then his WCW run, when he won the championship and he actually beat Hogan, like, that was a big deal.
Yeah.
Like it was really big at the time. So, as the story with a lot of pro wrestlers, he's had to go through his shares of trials and tribulations and battle addictions, and I think they got the feel good story going right now with DDP and trying to get him to be well again. So his goal is to walk out there on stage to accept that, and I think that's amazing motivation and something that, you know, you can't have a career as long as his at the level that he had it as. He was a horseman. He was matches with Sting and different tag team partners with different guys and all kinds of stuff. He had a career that's definitely worthy of the Hall of Fame.
No, for sure.
I remember the first time I laid eyes on Lex, SummerSlam 91. He was actually training to be in one of the WBO shows.
Yes.
The World Bodybuilding Federation, WBF.
Yep.
And I think it was Heenan who brought him out to interview him, and he was just massive. 10 times bigger than I think I'd ever seen him after that. Like, just a physical specimen.
Whatever was in that Ico Pro, man.
Pause.
Yeah.
Yes.
You gotta want it.
That's some great gimmick right there.
Do we think DDP, because of the work he's been doing, is going to induct him, or do we think we're going to get a Flair or a Sting, even though they're currently contracted with AEW?
Is Flair contracted with AEW?
I think still.
Yeah, I think he said he wanted Sting or something too to do, but at the same time, it depends on if somebody else lets him. Or
meanwhile, you're taking shots at them on television, and like, that's a great way to get what you want, you know.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there is I don't know if you all remember the WWF magazine cover. I think it's Luger and Michael Jordan. Are you?
I don't remember that, no.
I think, I mean, I'm going to have to look it up because.
Are you sure you don't have it in your collection?
I probably do, but I'm wondering if they can get, you know, Michael out there. But yeah, I think it's interesting to see what's going to happen with this whole thing because, again, it's just showing our company's going to be able to see right there.
Oh, yeah, there it is.
Talk about a dream team.
Yep.
See, look at that, everybody.
Holy.
I'm just, you know, I think it would be great. I think in this instance to have Luger get this Hall of Fame, like not to be, I hope Luger lives for a very long time, but, you know, I want him to go out on top. And he did have a lot of history with Sting. He had a lot of history with Flair. So I love what DDP's doing with people, but I think that one of those need to be the inductor.
No, for sure. You know, even Michelle McCool too is on there. I think we mentioned her a few weeks ago too. We didn't really have much to say about it. I mean, Michelle McCool doesn't really.
She had a nice little run.
She had she has a few little accolades, but for me, you know, it was one of those don't really stand out too much compared to other women wrestlers. But no, I have nothing to say. No negative.
Can we
to
talk
say.
about some snubs?
Yeah,
who do we think is not in it that should be in it?
Really quick to where. You know, like Lex Luger, to where some of these guys that are getting older, I felt bad for like even like Vader, like when Vader should have went in and then he ended up passing away, and then you know it was like I hate that they wait too long. Like let's look at a list on a wall of like all the guys who might die soon, and not to put it that way, but you know like, hey, maybe we should induct this guy because it'd be good to have him on TV and talk about something, and you know as opposed to wait, oh now we're gonna add him on later.
And sometimes I feel like they have such bad history with the company. Like somebody like Demolition, they'll go in posthumously because I feel like they have that lawsuit. Like you just got bad blood, and sometimes, and maybe that was a Vince thing. I don't know.
Well, that's what was a surprise because then they allowed him on their site for the first time, like on their archives or whatever. So like that's when people thought, oh, they might be going into the Hall of Fame this year because WWE actually opened up whatever ban on them to actually put them back on the website or whatnot. So I guess it got people talking, like thinking that they were going to get announced this year. So no, and that's I would hate to see them go in. I want to see them on there now. I want to hear a story. I don't know. Do you guys? Is there any big snubs for you for the Hall of Fame class?
Kamala. Why not?
Didn't he get one?
I don't think. I don't know if he. I don't think he got it.
Oh, wow.
I don't remember.
I could be wrong.
I think that the two that stick with me pretty much daily is Mickie James as far as the women's side of things. I don't know if that's something that they're like, well, she's going to be around for a while, but obviously a Hall of Fame career. And then Cornette, like, obviously, I think as far as
I'm with you on that one.
people, like, I just, we have the ability to go back and look at stuff, and he was really like a Renaissance person. He's should be spoken about in the same circles as like Jim Ross and all these people that have done. He started out taking pictures at the shows and taking tickets and stuff, and then I think those are two big ones that I hope we get at some point. I know that there was some bad blood with Mickey for a while, probably because that's how this all happens. But her husband's in the show now, so they're never say never. But those are my two big snubs, probably.
How about this? What about Jacques Rougeau? Is he in? The Mountie.
I do not think
I don't
so.
think so.
No. So there's like a list. I'll have to do that.
Come
Maybe
on, somebody who
Mania,
knocked
I'll
out
do a special.
Dynamite's teeth should be in there. Come on.
Well, I just hate it.
Just saying.
I know. Well, I mean, now that Bret Hart's going to be a 3-time Hall of Famer,
This guy.
I'm not going to let you live it down. But what do you think, Vic? Is there anybody maybe on the Hall of Fame class you think that should be on here who hasn't been inducted yet, or maybe they think about should soon?
Well, I was trying to go through it in my head, of thinking like.
And hard to put you on. I don't want to put you on the spot, but you know what I mean.
Well,
It's
you
just
already
like
did.
now who do you think?
They've gotten a lot of them. They've gotten a lot of like the big ones. I think that there's a lot of like NWA wrestlers who don't get any kind of recognition because they worked for the other company. And I think unless you're talking about like Flair or Sting and guys like that, like there's a lot of like people that were part of that organization back in the day that like deserve a spot just as much as someone like Michelle McCool would deserve a spot. So I'd have to have a list in front of me to go through it, because I think about it in my head. I'm like, oh, they got one, maybe they didn't. I don't. Some of it's like so lost at this point because they have so many of them each year, and there's been so many of them at this point. But
I do have a list in front of me. I'll name some names for you to help you.
Lay it on.
So let's see. Just going through here. What about like a Bam Bam Bigelow?
He's in.
Yep.
He's in there. Why am I seeing a picture of him? What year did I look up here? What is this? But what about even a few years ago? Wasn't Batista supposed to go in, and then something happened, and then they didn't put him in because of whatever? It was like during COVID or something.
Yeah.
The one thing that bothered me too was a couple of years back they put Luna in, but it was under some weird thing. It wasn't actually like for her work in WWE. It was like some, I don't know, just like kind of not an official WWE Hall of Famer, and that always kind of stuck in my craw.
It was like the
a little
honorable
bit.
mention or something like that. Yeah, it was very weird.
Yeah.
It's like how they got China in by putting all of DX in.
Yeah.
It's like, come on.
Well, even like this year, Sid Vicious passed away. He's not going in as like a deceased person going or a posthumously.
Isn't he in?
Yep.
No,
he's not.
No, yeah, I have that.
Really?
Cyndi Lauper not in. One of the as an
Is
outside
Savio
name.
Vega in?
I don't know. Savio Vega.
What about Crush?
Crush is not and should be.
Yeah, Crush
He
should
should.
be.
Yeah.
He should.
Yeah.
Even like a Miss Elizabeth, Batista, we said, Owen Hart, for obvious reasons.
That'll never happen.
I'm just going through it. The Rock's still not in it. You think maybe that I'm sure maybe within the next few years he'll probably do
If
it.
they put Triple H in, they'll put him in.
You mentioned Mickey James that was on here. Yeah, I'm just looking through a short list of stuff. We'll have to do a whole special about this one.
Yeah, I'm sure we could talk about it for hours.
I know,
that
just
one.
who's not in. But
Yeah.
I think all in all, when it comes down to it for this class, I'm like, I get it that they're probably doing it for TV time. Like, oh, we can only do 5 or whoever. But there's so many names out there that are just like left off every year. And I'm like, yeah, just put some more in it. I wish there were more
That's
inductions.
it. I'm starting a petition to get the Beverly Brothers in the Hall of Fame.
You heard it here first. AWP got the Beverly Brothers into the Hall of Fame.
Didn't think I was going to get that awkward reference in there, did you?
No, not at all. Well, not to keep beating a dead horse thing with this Hall of Fame, I think, it's something's cool that's happening. It's on the road to WrestleMania. We're on the road to Awesome Championship Wrestling, Aftershock, Battle for the Belts, May 17th. Vic, any last plug you can give for the show?
This is ACW.com. Get your tickets. I'm really looking forward to the amount of talent that we've put together, to be very honest with you. We're bringing in some people that haven't been here before, like Big Trouble Ben Bishop.
If you haven't seen him on socials, guys, check him out. He's ridiculous. He's a funny guy. He's a tall guy. He's a
7-footer, man.
He's a
7-footer with personality. Enzo's going to be back.
The real one?
The real one. Yeah, I guess I can't call him Enzo.
Formerly known as FKA.
And Mike Santana is another one that hasn't been he wasn't on the first show, but I'm looking forward to having him be a part of this and seeing what he comes up with. We have Crowbar and Danny Doring, and the Monster Kerr is going to be there. The Big Vargas is going to be there. We're bringing in
4 championship matches, 3 new champions that night,
and a steel cage. So what else could you possibly want other than having all these brand new champions, a steel cage match, superstars from television? It's going to be a really awesome show, for pun intended.
No, guys, I'm glad the moons aligned tonight. We're all in the studio at the same exact time. We're on a long road this year, so it's April Fool's Day. It's I don't know. There's more happening, and it's happening right now. I don't know, guys. Well, stay tuned.
Yeah.
Like us, follow us, subscribe to us. We'll see you next week.
Thank you for having me. It was good to see you guys.
You
Absolutely.
too. Thank you.